All right, looks like we are finally live. What's up, everybody? 10:04 a.m. on a Thursday, and today an impromptu live. So if you're watching the replay on this, welcome. Hope you're safe. Hope you're healthy in quarantine as of this recording. Actually, I hope if you're watching the replay, I hope you're outside and we are not in quarantine and Costco is fully stocked on toilet paper and all the cereal and stuffs that are not there anymore. Anyway, morning, everybody. Patrick Kenny here, and thanks for checking out this live/replay. My guest today is a friend of mine that I really respect in the Facebook ads and e-commerce space. He is just a fantastic human being from Canada, just as nice as you would assume. And he's going to come on today and share some of his insight, perspective, and wisdom on what's going on with e-commerce, with Facebook ads, and then might get into a little bit of the goodness of his specialty of getting really good and famous people on his podcast. I might be on there a time or two, but people like Gary Vaynerchuk, people like Frank Kern, Ezra Firestone, and he has gotten these people on these podcasts and has grown an organic following through a very simple process. I'm going to try to bribe him to share with us as much as he can today. So, but before I bring Jason on, just want to remind you, if you are looking for help with video ads, how to get videos like this up and running, how to get YouTube ads up and running, which is my specialty, I've got an on-demand training you can check out at learnvideoads.com. Go on there and check out that free training, get some information about how you can promote your business, which whether it's YouTube ads or whether it's Facebook ads, which Jason is going to share with us today, or it's a podcast, you should be promoting your business now more than ever. So learnvideoads.com. So with that, I'm going to bring Jason on and we're going to talk a little bit about the business stuff. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Patrick.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. How are things up in Canada?
The weather's warming up, so that's good. That's number one. But I mean, it's not like we could enjoy it. So
right. So now, are you fully locked down in your house? Like you can't go outside at all?
So I go for walks because otherwise my mental health will go out the window. Go for walks, and we have a 19-month-old, so kind of hard to be locked in the house with him. So we take him for walks too. It's like having a little puppy. We take him around the block on his bike. But yeah, trying to be I have a family of doctors. My wife's an ER nurse, so I take this pretty seriously, and I just wish everyone else does and everyone stays safe so that this could just end fast as possible.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely stay inside and order stuff online, support those local business delivery drivers, and tip them well. For those watching this in the quarantine, again, hope everybody's watching this after and everything's gone. But right now, the reality is
world.
Good morning, my neighbor. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I was really excited to chat with you again, just because I enjoy speaking with you, my friend. But I think right now, you have a fantastic perspective on what's going on, and we were talking before we went live about conversations you're having with your clients on the e-commerce side, and I wanted to dig into that a little bit because the whole theme of these lives I've been doing since last Monday has been perspective. One of the most important things we can give people is our perspective. So I would love your perspective. For those watching, Jason, again, I said his expertise is e-commerce. He started a clothing brand, True Rivalry, in 2012 and sold it. So he's been around the block a few times. He knows, he's done the process. He's not just hey, I took a course and I'm a guru. He's in the trenches. He is seeing all the changes and everything going on, plus all the customer circumstances changing. So Jason, I'd love to get your perspective on what you're seeing in the e-commerce side, maybe a couple things that you think may happen, how that works with Facebook ads, and how someone who's either an e-commerce brand watching this or who works with an e-commerce brand might position themselves for a little more certainty.
Sure. So, lots of variables to that question, right? So what am I seeing from across the board from an e-com perspective on Facebook ads? Costs to advertise are super low. Lowest I've seen it in years. Probably even before you and I got started in the business. I don't remember it being this low in a long time. Attention is at an all-time high. So it puts us in a really, really unique, like once in a blue moon type of opportunity where attention's at an all-time high and costs to advertise are at a pretty much close to an all-time low. So that's a really rare opportunity for an entrepreneur to on the ground floor to get in on. So if you're an e-commerce business, now's never been a better time to start your business. Now has never been a better time than scaling your business. What am I seeing in terms of sales? It really varies, and that's what's really weird. We have some clients who are doing clothing, and I was like, okay, this is going to be really bad. Once this hits, it's going to be a really bad week. And they're at a 4.5 just this week. They were at a 6 last week, and like when all the news broke, which was crazy. And then we have
when you say 3.5 and 6, you mean ROAS,
return on ad spend. Yeah. So return on ad spend. So that's like a 600% return on ad spend. So for every dollar you're putting in, they get $6 back. That was last week. This week they're at it died down a little bit, as we know it will happen. But the cost of them getting out there have been pretty cheap. And then you have other clients who, their return on ad spend is dipping a little bit, but still the constant is the advertising costs are cheap. And what's happening right now is what we see, a lot of people are making a huge mistake. When things go bad, the first thing they cut is marketing and advertising costs.
Yep.
Which is completely illogical to me. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to go out and pay an agency a $10,000 retainer anymore, but to cut advertising costs completely just doesn't make sense, because think about it. The number one thing you need right now is sales. How are you getting sales? You need customers or clients. How are you going to find those customers and clients when you can't leave your house? How are you going to find those customers and clients if you've been reliant on retail and retail stores aren't ordering anymore? You need marketing and advertising. You need to be out there. So just being top of mind, putting out, building your lists is something I truly believe in, and not being so dependent on a platform, owning your customers, owning your audience. It's just, the time right now is just incredible to start advertising. So I implore people, don't cut advertising costs. Just find a different way, pivot. Be more strategic in how you're advertising and leverage that. Video ads, like is an incredible way to do that and drive awareness and stay top of mind, because this will pass. And if you think that you could just pause and rebound and come back and just be like, hey, okay, this is over, I'm going to turn on my ad spend back, I'm going to do it. No, your competition is stopping. So your competition is pretty much toast. So who's going to take the sales? Is it going to be you, or is it going to be someone else who understands the opportunity at hand? So that's the important message I have. What I'm seeing in terms of e-commerce in general, it's really all over the map. It's really crazy. Some industries I thought that would do really well aren't. Some brands are doing great. It's really all over the map.
Well, it's funny you mentioned all over the map. I'm seeing that as well on the YouTube ad side, and it's just one of those things where we got to power through it. In my opinion, it's like, you have to pivot, you have to be adaptable, you have to move quickly and keep a level head. And what you said is so important. You've got to double down on advertising. It's like you wouldn't stop breathing if you're running a marathon. You've got to breathe better. You've got to continue to breathe. Advertising and marketing is the lifeblood of your business. And you were talking about people pausing and then thinking they'll start again. Like, let's pause now, and then in a month we'll start again. It reminded me of Volkswagen and Toyota in the 1970s during the oil embargo. Volkswagen they were the predominant auto manufacturer. They were the biggest foreign manufacturer. I think GM was still number one. But as far as like between Honda and Toyota and Volkswagen was the big one. And they were like, well, let's pull back. And Toyota doubled down on their advertising and pushing their economic, like the Corolla and, all the fuel efficient vehicles. And then now they took over. And that's people that are going to advertise right now are going to be the Toyota in their industry. So that's great insight. So let's get a little more tactical.
Sure.
On the Facebook ad side. So you're seeing lower costs. You're seeing higher return on ad spend in some markets. It's not all of them, not all markets. So for anyone watching right now, whether you're a freelancer, you're a local business, if you're kind of uncertain what's going to, like any business side, whether you're running a hot dog cart or you're running a Fortune 500 company, tactically, we were talking before we came on live that you're getting asked the same question. You're doing these consult calls, you get the same thing. What would be your blanket statement for people who are kind of uncertain what's going on, but now they're going, okay, Jason, I get it. I need to advertise on Facebook. I need to do the Instagram, which is part of Facebook ads. What would you tell them? Like, what's the tactical advice you would give them today?
I think it starts from an organic perspective too. Let's take a step back. I don't want just the listeners to feel that they have to throw money into Facebook or throw money at YouTube or in order to stay relevant now. From an organic side, now's the time to establish yourself as an authority in your space. Right? What's going to happen is you're going to kick yourself later on when all these new authorities come out. We're starting to see people's true colors. In these times, when something like this happens, when a pandemic happens or a worldwide crisis happens, we start seeing people's true colors. And if you could be the authority in your space and provide value and want to help, look, I'll give you a perfect example. My son, he does when he's allowed out and the world's not working normally.
He's disinfected and all in hazmat.
No, in a normal world, when with no pandemic, he does a music class. He goes to music class. There's 10 people that show up to the music class. Now, that teacher could have sat there and said, hey, look, there's no music class. I'm not getting paid, right? There's no 10. I'm just going to fold up, quit, do whatever. Instead, what that music teacher did was she did an Instagram live, a free Instagram live, and she's going to do it weekly in order to keep that audience going, in order to stay relevant, in order to provide a music class for the kids. So I took my son on it, like, my phone, I streamed it on the TV and I watched with him, and I watched the numbers go from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, all the way to 300 people. So someone who averages 10 people per class is getting 300 people watching her 45 minutes.
Yep.
And the comments, I'm just like, he's watching the teacher. I'm just from a marketing standpoint going, what's going on here? And I'm watching the comments. And the comments being like, we love you, thank you, thank you. And they're naming their kids. Our kids say hi, and she's shouting out to the kids. And I'm like, okay, something weird's going on. The next thing I see it, my wife does a spin class. Spin class averages 8 people in a class. She had 55 people on her class and is averaging that. Like, she's doing it a whole week. She's averaging 50. Now, that's crazy. And you sit there and say, yeah, it makes sense. But no, because you're not doing it in your space, right? They're doing it.
Right.
And you're like, hey, these fitness instructors giving these free classes, everyone's doing this. What they're doing is building goodwill. They're building an audience. That 300 people that watched her would have forgot about her if she didn't do any classes. If she just sat on her hands and said, oh man, this sucks. I can't do live classes anymore. This pandemic's killing me. The ones that become creative, the ones that put out content, the ones that give value to their audience are the ones that are going to win. So I just found that whole side really fascinating. So what can you do? You could become the leading authority in your space. If you're a mommy blogger and you want to grow your audience, forget paid media for a second. Team up with a local magician. Say, hey, let's do a live stream on my show where you do a magic show for the kids. And then you stream that magic show and you start building that audience and you start building relevancy and you start you keep staying top of mind in people's mind. I've said this for the longest time. There's only one reason businesses fail, and that's obscurity. So they either don't know you exist or they forgot about you and they can't continue to do business with you. The second one is just as bad as the first. So you just sitting on your hands saying, I'll wait this out, you're going to fall into obscurity. It's almost impossible to get out. So put out content, video content, and Patrick knows this better than anyone else. Video content, just put out tons of content and provide value. Just don't even think monetizing. You're not going to monetize really right now. Right. Now's not the time to monetize. Not the time to sit there and say, okay, cool, I'm going to get this $500 a month or $500 a week client. It's not happening right now. Now's the time to provide value so that you could buy that, so you could use that goodwill later and then monetize that later down the road. But here's the chance to really build a following. Here's a chance to really put out good content. And then, yeah, you could use Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads to give it some amplification. It will just grow you faster, right? All paid media is lighter fluid on a fire, but you still need that fire and you still need to put out content.
Yeah, no, well said. I mean, it doesn't matter. We've talked about this for years now, where it's, people will come in and either look at Facebook ads as a magic bullet for their business. And I have the same thing on the YouTube ads. They'll look at it as a magic bullet. Now, they're both wonderful platforms for grabbing attention. it's ultimately grabbing attention. But we talk about this all the time. It comes down to the fundamentals. The fundamentals of marketing still apply. You should be using all media sources, all traffic sources, but 100%, right? Right now is the time to give goodwill. Part of these live streams that I'm doing, I'm inviting people to learn more about my stuff, but it's not some, mystified webinar where there's some hard pitch at the end of it. It's like, hey, here's some perspective. Here's some other experts in the field that are saying the same thing. Here's what these people are doing, so you can model that.
But I want to get even more tactical in what you're doing, right? So whether you're doing this or not,
right?
What people do in the same way why I started my podcast, it's if you don't have the audience right now, you got to leverage someone else's audience. Or even if you have the same amount of audience, by Patrick doing this interview with me or with other experts or with other people, industry professionals, he then will get this shared into their audience, right? So he gets exposed to a whole new audience. I get exposed to his audience that probably would never heard of me or haven't heard of me and may hear me now. It's a win-win situation. It's how can you help each other and build each other up?
Oh, absolutely. That again, well said. I think you have the camps, and I've talked with this. Allison Carpio was on early last week, and I believe it was Allison. We talked about where you have two kind of camps, and you alluded to this earlier, where you have some people that are like bro marketing, like, yeah, man, it's time to sell hard. People are fearful, whatever. No, it's time to help, right? And Allison, she illustrated, you have the people that are just like hustle, 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 just keep hustling through it. And then you have the people that are like spinning in the poppy fields, like it's the hills are alive with the sound of music kind of, and it's somewhere in the middle where,
it's always somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, it is always somewhere in the middle. But now more than ever is it important to just get out there and provide value, not give it for free all the time, not just be like, okay, this was $5,000 and now it's $100. Like that's, you still selling is still serving. I still believe that. Like when you sell someone from a perspective of it's going to help them get the result they want, and the only way they're going to take action on the thing to get the result they want is if there's that exchange to where they feel the pain of financial loss and sense of like, I paid for this thing, then they're going to implement it. So in that sense of that's how I'm serving my market, this really well, especially in, what you do with Facebook ads. If you did all this stuff for people for free, they wouldn't appreciate the result because they didn't have to do any kind of exchange for that. So when you're giving goodwill and you're putting out content, you have to do consistent content, like you said, with the spinning instructor, otherwise obscurity. Like that's, it's the, what does Tony Robbins say? It's like a coward dies 1,000 times before the fall versus charging in, it's like, just do it. This is nerve wracking for us even getting on here, right? Like when I get on these, it's like, oh, am I going to mess up when I say something stupid? But what I have to say and the help that I want to give, and I know you feel this way too, is more important than my fears of how I might look on camera. And so for anybody watching this, I would say just give value, find that happy medium, and then it'll pay off later. When all this is done, like you said before, Jason, like you'll rise to the top, you'll be moving forward, and everyone else is going like, these new players will come out.
And be authentic. If you're at home and you have your kids at home and you're working from home, everyone's going through that with you. So don't polish. Now's not the time to polish up.
Right.
Everyone wants a real, right? So you have enough of that BS out there on everything else. Now's the time to be authentic in what you're doing.
Well, speaking of authentic, you are one of the most authentic e-commerce experts and Facebook ads experts that I know. And so I wanted to give a plug for Jason's Ecom Accelerator. So it's on the bottom of this video if you're watching the replay, ecomaccelerator.co. And I'd love for you, before we wrap up, because I want to be respectful of your time, I would love for you to give people a little bit about what Ecom Accelerator is. I know it's important right now for people in ecom. I was talking with my mentor, Kevin Rogers, yesterday. And he was talking about copywriters and marketers right now. The best thing we can do for businesses who are just kind of like still reeling from all this is give them perspective, give them strategy, go in and go, okay, the world's not ending. You need to do this and this, and we'll move forward, right? So can you tell us a bit about ecomaccelerator.co and like kind of how you're doing that for people through this?
Sure. So Ecom Accelerator really was a brainchild of mine when we were taking on prospects or listening to prospects for the agency, and they didn't qualify. One, they weren't doing enough in sales to warrant hiring an agency and big spend. And I'm a big believer in not taking someone's last $5,000. Like you said, this isn't a magic bullet.
Right.
So I don't want to be anyone's last $5,000. I don't want to be anyone's savior. I want to be a partner in their journey. So the ones that didn't qualify, it was just like, okay, we left them aside. And then either they were getting taken advantage of by other agencies, or they were just left to do it on their own and struggled and either closed up shop. So I wanted to figure out a way to give back. And I never wanted to sell a course. I'm not a course guy. I wanted something that would be a bit more evergreen. So I sat there and said, okay, who can I partner up with? Who can I bring on? If I was going to build a dream team of traffic, copy, website conversion, email marketing, and then find other people. So I have coaches, and then I have other people inside the group who are coaches that could deliver value, that could look over your shoulder, that could help you. It's a done with you service. But here's the thing. Everyone that I spoke to was like, yeah, I do it, but I need this amount. I need this amount. And I pretty much had to convince all these type A players that no, like this isn't the goal of this. The goal of this is we're going to build up value, and we're going to build up stores, and we're going to be part of winning teams. And we're going to give e-commerce store owners a community of, fellow like shop owners who are going through everything that you're going through, whether it's on a different level. I know that being a part of community helped me grow my business of watching people who are better than me, watching people who are a bit under me, giving back. Scooter Braun told a story one time. That's Justin Bieber's manager. Told a story one time that his grandfather used to tell him that, if you're pouring yourself water, right, you better pour enough for other people, otherwise your glass becomes too full. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like that message in that, where it's like, hey, if someone helped me, I got to help the people under me as well. And that's what the community kind of did for me. And that kind of helped me build my agency. So Ecom Accelerator is really, honestly, for less than $10 a day, it's $297 for the month. You get access to all these coaches, you get access to the community, and they review your stuff daily. And it's not like, hey, here's a tip, here's a video, watch this video, I'm going to show you how to run an ad. It's, hey, is this copy good for my ad? Or how can I make this copy better? Or my website converts at 1.16%. Can you look at my website with me? And you have that daily access, right? Every day a different coach goes live, and I'll bring in guests, and Patrick will come in and he'll talk YouTube ads. And I never even asked you to do that. I just committed you right now to doing that.
Dude, I'm in. Absolutely. Brother, you don't even have to ask. I'm in.
I just really, really believe that now's the time for business owners to really accelerate and to really grow, and that they shouldn't be scared. They shouldn't dial back. And just, I said in one of my posts that now's not the time to rely on Fiverr education.
Right.
It's not going to get you anywhere. Right. So we know the elements of what makes a good e-commerce site. We know the 5 core components to it. We want to help you do it. Again, this isn't a magic pill, right? You have to do the work.
Yeah.
And this all assumes you have a good product, and the product isn't good. All marketing is going to do is accelerate the rate at which you fail. Yep. But if you believe you have a good product, a good offer, this is going to help you. And I think gone are the days of outrageous models. And technically, if this done right, I put my agency out of business, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, again, it's you're serving your community, and again, for people that are businesses that are changing, they're going to have to adapt because our circumstances, or the customer circumstances, have changed, and you're acknowledging your reality. Yeah, but you have a plan about it. So, for those watching this, whether live or the replay, if that's something that you're interested in, you can borrow plans from other people, so you're not going it alone. Like where we're all sitting at home in quarantine right now, these connections are what are so important. They're important to my business. Talking to Jason on a regular basis and other people that are peers that I respect help me sharpen my iron. And that's what Ecom Accelerator is going to be. I'll absolutely come in and do a YouTube ad, a bit on that. I'll get in some Google shopping as well if you want. But I'll make this offer for anybody that wants to check it out. And again, this is not a hard pitch. This is something like Jason's not going to sell you hard on this. Like
there is zero risk. You don't like it, there's a full refund. Like right. I don't believe in being paid for zero value exchange.
Yep.
That's just not the way I do business.
And that is one of many reasons why I have such respect for you, and you're such a cut above all the other people that are trying to just hustle and hold on to cash and just really are in it for the money. Yeah, money is a byproduct of the value we give, but I'll add something to that. And I did this for some of the experts that were on last week. If you decide you want to check out Jason's e-commerce accelerator, I will say, if you email me the receipt. Let me get my little banner up here. If you'll email me the receipt, I will do a 30-minute consult with you on YouTube ads. So email your receipts. That was the donation receipt from last week. So email receipts to, done is better than perfect, my friend. So email receipts, patrick@getubooks.com. Let me know you enrolled in that, and I will book you in for a 30-minute direct consult with me. We'll talk about your offers, your YouTube ads, and then give you my perspective, which is one of the most valuable things any expert could give you, is their perspective from their experience. So that is a limited offer, must act now. No, I'm just kidding. But if you mentioned that
now,
yeah, only 5 minutes left, right? No, but if you're watching this and you want to check that out, Jason's going to take care of you. And I'm going to go in and do some training in there with him. But if you want to take me up on this offer, I would love to get on the phone and help you. I'm not going to pitch you on my services. I'm really hard to hire, but I do want to help you with your business. So that's an offer for that. Now, before we go, one last thing I want to get to. You have brought on experts like Gary Vaynerchuk, Frank Kern, Ezra Firestone, Tom Breeze. I mean, just the dais is far and wide of people that you had on your podcast. And I'm so proud to watch your journey. And this whole series that I'm doing, just so you know, is modeled quite a bit after, I'm putting my spin on it with going live and doing the YouTube side of it. But this has all been inspired by your journey in podcast. So I would love for you, for my own selfish reasons, I would love for you to, if you'd be so kind, to share some of your strategy and how you got these people on the podcast, like maybe a little bit on the structure of how you keep them engaged in the conversation. I'd love to learn a little bit about that if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, of course. So it's funny that you said, for your own knowledge, because that's everything I do on my podcast. This is going to sound really weird, but I don't know a better way to put it. The listeners don't really play a role in when I ask questions. I ask questions to these experts or these people that I want to know, that I selfishly want to know. And the podcast it's called Perfectly Mentored. And the reason why I called it that was because I was like, how do I become perfectly mentored, right? I have so much room to grow in my field. So how do I get perfectly mentored by these people? And if I called, Patrick, and I said, hey, Patrick, can you spend an hour with me and just let me pick your brain? Chances are Patrick's pretty busy and he'll say no. But if I said, hey, Patrick, can I interview you for an hour on my podcast? He's going to find that hour. and it's really the same thing, right? I'm going to ask him the same questions on there.
Playing the ego.
I'm going to ask him the same questions that I would have asked him, if he let me pick his brain. Just now I'm giving him a platform to do it on in front of other people. Yep. And I mask it behind a whole audience. and I started to realize that if I ask questions that I believe in, most likely a good portion of that audience had that same question. And that's what kind of the feedback on the Gary Vaynerchuk video was, why it was different, was because I wasn't asking for the sake of Gary or to get views. I was like, let me ask Gary questions I want to know. Like, when does, you preach patience. When does patience run its course? Like, when are you just delusional? and doing things like that. So how did I start? Right. One is, I knew that I was pretty tactical in it. I don't know if it was intentional, but I was pretty tactical. If I look back at it, I wanted to grow my own following. So I had to leverage people with a bigger following. So I knew I couldn't get Gary right off the bat. I had to leverage people with just slightly bigger than me. And it's almost like if you ever played, I think it was Ken Griffey Jr. baseball on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. And you made a trade. You can only trade an 80 player for like an 81 player or an 82 ranked player. Like, that's their skill level. Right. So I would keep doing that, and I would spend hours just taking a 60 player all the way, trading him up till I got like a 90 player, right? I'd take the 60 for a 65, the 65 for the 70, the 70 for the 73, and keep going all the way up until I built a team of like 90s, and I would just dominate the game and just play. And that's just how I always thought. And it's the same thing. I leverage people's audiences. They're like, okay, cool. If this person exposes me to this audience, I get more listeners. I use that listeners to get that person. That person listens. I do it that way. And I actually a lot of luck is involved also. I know Gary's team, and I met Gary one time, and he's like, you should have a podcast. And I said, will you come on? And he said no. And I said, okay. Like he didn't say no. He's like, I'm
very busy.
Yeah. I'm very busy. So I said,
saying no.
I said, that's okay. I got time. And he's like, well, it won't be till next year. So I said, that's fine. No problem. Like it's on your schedule, 2 years, 3 years, whatever you want. Yeah. And he's like, you're not going to take no for an answer, are you? And I said, no. And he's like, all right, do 20 episodes and I'll come on. And that's what forced me to actually get started. I had the idea for a podcast a year ago and I never did it. That's what kind of was like 20 episodes. That's not bad. Only to find out that most people quit after episode 8. So it actually was a big number if you think about it. Most people quit their podcast after 8 episodes and they just give up. And yeah, so that was kind of strategic. He's like, email me. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to email you. I went to his head of business development, this guy I know, Alex. I'm like, Alex, Gary told me to email you when I do 20 episodes and you're going to book him. He's like, that's awesome. Okay, sure. I did 20 episodes, called the guy. We had a meeting on the books and Gary was true to his word and he kept it. And then once you have Gary Vaynerchuk on, it's very easy to leverage to get other people. But
isn't that how you got Ezra? Wasn't that how?
No, I ask. Something I've never been afraid of is shame of being like, the worst you could say is no. Right. The worst thing that could happen is you say no to me 10 times.
Right. And then a no always leads to a yes.
A no is just a no right now.
Right.
Right. It's not a no tomorrow. It's no, sorry, I'm busy. Cool. Are you busy next month? Yeah. Okay. What about the month after that? Right. Like it's just I'm very tenacious and when I really want something, I'm very persistent, but respectful. There's a difference between being rude and annoying and obnoxious and being, and having tenacity.
I think that's a key thing right there. There is a fine line with being persistent and being annoying.
Yeah.
Like that is so important. That's a golden nugget right there.
Like if you sit there and say, Patrick, come on my podcast, and you say no, and I message you again, hey, Patrick, want to come on my podcast? And you say no. And then a week later I say, hey, Patrick, want to come on my, I'm blocked. At that point, like there's no matter what I do, Patrick doesn't want to come on my podcast anymore. Man, you're annoying. Right. But if I'm like, hey, Patrick, how's it going? I love this video. Or I share your video and I'm like, hey, this video was incredible. Would love for you to talk about it on the podcast. Right. Like I just keep bringing it up in different ways and you just have to get creative. But I've never been afraid to ask. And I think you'd be surprised what could happen if you ask. And people hold back. The biggest lesson I've learned in life is the worst someone could tell you is no. Right. If that's the worst case, if reaching for the moon and asking Tony Robbins to be on a podcast is a no and not like a gunshot to your head, then why wouldn't you do it? Most people are too scared to ask and then they don't ever do anything. But you'd be surprised. All these people started a podcast. All these people started by getting one person and by asking, just like that. I mean, I can just keep repeating that because that's the number. When I started my clothing brand, I was lucky enough, it's funny. I keep saying lucky enough, and I have a mentor who keeps saying, no, don't stop saying lucky.
Conditions.
Damon John mentored me. I met with him once a quarter, things like that. You know how I did it? Because I messaged him on Twitter around 150 times saying, hey, you like helping young entrepreneurs? I read your book. He said, you like it? And until I got a meeting. And I got a meeting and I took advantage of that meeting and I was respectful and I reached out again and I didn't monopolize his time where it led to once a quarter. Now it leads to a friendship where we text and I could text him. And again, I don't take advantage of that. So, it's just a matter of, I got it by asking and just being respectful of people's times. And it would be one thing if I asked Patrick to mentor me and then he gave me advice and I'm like, okay. And I ignore it and then go back to him for more advice. But I apply things and I'm a sponge. And so, yeah, I can't keep saying that enough. Just ask. Many people are so afraid to ask. It's so funny.
No, but thanks for that, man. That's fantastic. I mean, again, I have enjoyed watching your rise as far as, that your podcast has done really, really well. And you've been persistent and you've been gracious enough to have me on there a couple of times. I think we've got a new episode coming out in the future at some point. The thing that you mentioned that I really want to drive home, especially right now for anybody watching this live, we've got a few people on here live or watching the replay, the biggest, you talked about is obscurity, and we'll wrap on this because I want to be conscious of your time, and thank you for coming on. Obscurity is lack of action, letting your business wither away into obscurity, letting your clients wither away, and it's because you're afraid to do anything, like asking for the interview with Gary Vaynerchuk and Ezra Firestone, all those guys, like you were not afraid to ask. I think so many people are afraid to move and ask for fear of the dream drying up because someone says no. And like you said, it's just, maybe it's a not right now. So the best thing I would say, in adding to what you're saying about, essentially not taking no for an answer, is you got to keep moving. You got to keep moving forward. You've got to keep having conversations. You've got to continue to market your business. You've got to reach out to people and realize that you're going to get more no's than yeses, but you're going to make an impact. You're going to get traction. You're going to be pushing forward. And then there are plenty of people around you that won't. So when all of the dust settles on this, you're going to be 4 miles ahead of everybody else when the gun fires and you can start running full sprint through the storm. So
one just quick story on that, because that's a super point, and I don't want that to get lost in your audience. One of my first meetings with Damon John, I was like, hey, maybe I'm naive enough to think I could build $1 billion clothing brand. And he didn't laugh. He just said, remember that feeling. I'm like, what feeling? He goes, remember the feeling that you think you could build $1 billion business because you haven't started anything yet. And what's going to happen is you're going to get hit with no after no after no. You're going to pick up the phone. You're going to get no. You're going to get punched, kicked. He goes, and that's from just customers. Forget your friends and family who are telling you to quit. This is never going to amount to anything. And they're being negative in your mind. You're going to get hit with anything that you're going to lose that feeling. And he goes, real entrepreneurship is holding on to that feeling in the face of all that. It's the ability to get back up. It's the ability to do all that. If you're afraid of no's, you're in the wrong sport. You're playing the wrong game. Like this is more no's than yeses in this life, in this entrepreneurial life, in this business life. But and it's roller coasters, and the no's hurt and they suck, and you don't ever become fully numb to it. But it's how do you focus on that feeling of the yes and belief in your message, and keep selling yourself back on why you're sold on your business, because that's going to get you through it. Because it's very, very easy to want to fold and quit when all you're doing is getting no's every time.
Well said, my friend. Well said. And again, we all go through that. Everyone at a high level, where we think like, oh man, Tony Robbins never has bad days, or the president never has a bad day. Everybody does. We all are susceptible to that. It's just a bit of conditioning. And you know that better than most because you're so well conditioned on the no. So well said, my friend. Well, listen, thank you so much, Jason, for coming on. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this live. If you want to check out Jason's Ecom Accelerator, links on the bottom of the video, ecomaccelerator.co. If you email me the receipt, I will give you a 30-minute consult. These are things that I charge for. So it's going to be an added bonus if you decide to check out Jason's Ecom Accelerator. Thank you, my friend. You guys,
thank you so much for having me, and thank you for literally, what you're doing right now with all these lives of interviewing different people and getting people's perspective is really helping a lot of people, and we're all in need of help. Everyone needs help. And just to weather this storm, and it is a storm, we'll get through it, but really good on you for doing things like this.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man. And thank you so much for coming on. I have the utmost respect for you, my friend. So thank you so much for the wise words, the perspective. It means a lot, brother.
It's mutual.
Thanks, buddy. All right, everybody have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Don't buy too much toilet paper, and learn, execute. Visit ecomaccelerator.co and learn from the best, or go learn some video ads for free and then go into Ecom Accelerator, learnvideoads.com. Thanks, y'all. Have a great day. Bye now.